Meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a good news report. Corey, please introduce us to the good news report.
Yes, and I know this is something that I've shared in email and just wanted to make sure we discussed it publicly as well. So just recently we were announced as one of the top 200 institutions by the Aspen Institute. Every 2 years they award their Aspen Prize, which is a $1 million award, and it's for the top, what they call community college, but it's for either community colleges or technical colleges in the country. And there's over 1,100 of them nationwide. So being the top 200 is definitely a great recognition. They award this every other year, each of the last 4 cycles. So in 2019, 21, 23, and 25. They did the top 150, and we are in the top 150 each of those 4 times as well. So this is the 5th consecutive cycle that we are being recognized. So we have to do a data submission coming up later this month, and then there's a narrative submission that's due in December that they use to narrow down to the semifinals, which is usually the final 25, and then finalists, which is usually the top 10. As well. And so it not only looks at student outcomes, but also kind of the narrative behind that of why are you having such great student outcomes as well. So to really get at what are the best practices that we can help share with others across the country as well. So it's a great recognition, and it really goes to the great work of everybody sitting behind me here and all our great faculty and staff on campus as well that are really working hard to support all of our students and getting as many of them as we can to graduation and across that stage. So it's great work, and we're honored to be recognized once again for the 5th consecutive time.
That's excellent. Great.
So thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Can I please get an approval of the minutes of the meeting held on October 1st of 2025?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have any? Okay, we have nobody wishing to address the board on a non-agenda or agenda items. We will move on to approval of the agenda. Can I please get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So
Second. Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, we will move on to approval of consent agenda items. Items 9A through D. Can I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those are approved. Corey, I will turn it over to you for the reports of the president.
All right, thank you. We have 4 reports for you this afternoon. We will start with our monthly report on an update on one of our academic programs. And so I would like to invite up Jenna Ellerbush, who is our program director for invasive cardio, to give an update on that program.
Thank you, President Classman, and thank you, President Kelly, and the rest of the board members for having me. Today, I would like to introduce you to invasive cardiology. Most people don't exactly quite understand what invasive cardiology is. A lot of people think ultrasound, a lot of people think surgery, kind of a mix of all of it, okay? So my name is Jenna Ellerbush. I'm the program director. My students learn an array of things, but some of the major procedures that we start off with are angiograms. So if you don't know what an angiogram is, we like to start a big IV, commonly in the radial artery or in the femoral artery. And just like a house, all the plumbing, goes to one way, so we can get to the heart. And we're able to shoot contrast and then follow it with what we call cine or fluoro, which is a lot like a chest x-ray, except for we can follow the contrast in real-time imaging. looking for any type of blockages, anything like that. So once my students are able to learn the vessels around the heart, and we move on to the vessels in the body of the renals and the arms and the legs, we're able to restore blood flow to the muscles, so that way we can have cardiac output and move our arms and legs. We don't just do that. We do a lot of different procedures once they are able to understand how blood and blood pressure and everything is regulated. Then we move on to structural heart. Structural heart has just come up in the early 2000s, but realizing that we don't have to go to the OR for everything that we need to do. We're able to go through the femoral artery and place a new aortic valve. And then our patients can go home earlier. We don't have chances of infection or anything like that. We also do different types of what they call, commonly plugs. A lot of babies are born with a hole in their heart that never closed up. And so maybe we might go in and go ahead and plug that hole, so that way we don't have oxygenated blood and non-oxygenated blood being mixed together. So just a few procedures that on the structural heart side. And then just like a house, we have the plumbing side, and then we have the electrical side. So electrophysiology is what everybody knows is, they think pacemakers, right? And obviously we teach all different kinds of pacemakers and how they work and the procedure and how the sterile technique, everything like that. But we also teach ablations. To give you kind of the broad's eye of what an ablation is, I tell my students all the time, most of them like to show up to my classes with, a Red Bull in hand or the $9 Starbucks drink. Okay, if you start drinking those drinks and you're commonly, having all that caffeine, your heart is going to say, okay, instead of beating 80 beats per minute, now my heart should be at 120. So your heart has to come up with all these different little power plants that says, we're gonna beat at 120. Okay, so as what we do is we go in with our catheters through the venous side, and we map out on a 3D map all these extra electricity power plants, so to speak, and we go in and burn them. It's called an ablation. So we're all able to do that, and they learn all these different procedures in my program. With that being said, my program is 77 credits, give or take 1 for anatomy and lab, but they have 4 semesters of didactic, and then they go on to clinical, which is 7 months all over the nation. In South Dakota, we have the prominent cath labs here in Sioux Falls from Avera and Sanford, and then Rapid City has Memorial. So they're able to do clinicals there. We're a Build Dakota program, so we promote that very highly. And a lot of my students come through and are able to stay right here in Sioux Falls. But a few other classes that we do go into, we have to know how to regulate radiation and how to stay safe in radiation, because that's all of what we do is under radiation. So they learn a lot about radiation physics, a lot about the physiology and pathology of cardiovascular issues and problems, along with just the interventional prevention, and then how to diagnose it and how to take care of it. So like I said, we do clinicals all over because we only have 3 major cath labs here. The furthest that I have personally sent them away is Kansas City, but I've had students go to Roanoke, Virginia, Harlingen, Texas. Most students have a job. I say most, I'm saying 99%, because there's that 1% that's always, I want to go back to South Dakota, so they don't stay. But they all have jobs commonly in May when they come out, and are able to go ahead and start that. So a little bit of the numbers. When I first started in 2020, we had 2. And since then, we've just tried to double and double and double and double. Currently, we just had 7 graduate. I have 10 going out to clinicals, and I have 11 that have just started here in the fall. Okay. Credentialing exams. We've done really, really well. I've worked a lot with the CCI. When we sit for our boards, it's an international board recognition, and then you are considered a registered invasive cardiovascular specialist. And so far, we are doing great of being able to take it for the first time and passing it. So every student that comes into my lab, the first question they ask usually is, how much money am I going to make? Well, it's kind of like anything. About $68,000 is the national average. Obviously, in the bigger states, California, on the coast, you're going to make a lot more money. And then I have to explain to them, but it's where you live. So, and they kind of like it because it's a great opportunity. I tell my students, you give me 2 years, it's an investment that nobody can take away from you. It's your education. And you can go out there and you can make a lot of money real fast. My students are able to take call. So it's a big down payment. You know, if they want that new car, they can take call and get paid $5 just for carrying the pager and double time to get called in. And then they can also travel. As far as our license goes, like a nursing license, you have to have a state license for every state. Ours is not, so they can go all over. And that's obviously where your big money is, right? So what's next? We have our beautiful brand new lab and simulation. A couple of the simulators that we use, any kind of procedure that I just talked about, we are able to do those on our simulators. So when I send my students out to clinical, it's literally taking the lab setting and taking it to clinical and working on real patients. So we have a real defibrillator that we are able to use. And so before my students ever have to hit that button, they actually do it on a simulator first. We have Cath Lab VR. So instead of having our old lab, which introduced them to radiation at a young age, why do that? Now they can put goggles on and it puts them in a real-time cath lab. So they're able to see the camera, they're able to interact with the patient and do all that. We also have SimMan Vascular. There's only a handful of these that were made. We have 2 of them. The Army has the rest, and there is one down in Florida. But we are able to take him and completely triage him in our ER and do the whole patient assessment, and then bring him to the cath lab and do full procedures and any type of coding that we might need to do. And then let's say if something else were to happen, then we can scoot him on down the hallway and we can go do full, any type of endovascular surgery on him as well. He's pretty neat. He's RFI coded, so anytime a patient or a student were to give him any kind of medication, it's right there. He has all of his fluids, his eyes dilate, his tongue swells. He's pretty neat. And that is, yeah, Milo and Otis. So what's next? Lots of simulation, lots of bringing that real world into our lab and taking it out to clinical.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I was listening, but I want to clarify. So when they graduate, they're qualified to work in all 50 states
Correct.
through your program.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Once you
yeah,
pass, yep.
after certification, obviously.
Yeah, it's a great pass rate, and it's such a testament to the thoroughness in your teaching methods. It's outstanding. I have a quick question for you. Program started in 2020. How many students can you take?
So the program didn't start in 2020. I started in 2020. I actually went through this program. I believe 1996. 96 is with Jay Lucas it started, and then went to Patrick Ware. I took over in 2020 during COVID. And
Okay,
how many can they
I saw
take?
the data just going back, to,
Mhm.
so in my mind, that's why I went.
Nope. So when I took over, we had 2. We can take up to 26. I don't believe we've been that full, but like I said, for a lot of people, they're not sure what invasive cardiology is. So we need to figure out how to get that word out, and we're working on it. And the best way to do that is our beautiful brand new building.
Well,
So-
the Heart Hospital is doing an addition
They
to
are.
Rivera, so
That's true. I mean, they're seeing some growth.
Currently,
The
our,
demand,
oh, sorry.
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Is the demand, so you can go to anywhere in the country, is there a demand for this career here in the region?
Oh, yes, especially the medical director, that's who we have on our advisory board, Dr. Wagner, he works with Avera Heart. Yes, we can't get students out fast enough. They are wanting them for everything and anything. And if I could produce 26 students, I would have clinical spots for all of them and they would all have jobs in May. It's just getting that word out there and figuring out how to get them to our school, and we're working on it with all different kinds of marketing and things like that.
And did you say you are Dakota Build?
We are, yes.
I would think that that could be a way too to market your program as well. This is just fascinating and awesome. And I think if you get those high school kids into that sim lab, let them see your sim man. What'd you call him again?
Milo and Otis.
Okay. See him. I think that kids are pretty wowed by the technology, and I think you could get some more recruits that way.
Well, my daughter's obsessed with Grey's Anatomy, and so I think I'm going to have to tell her about this program in particular.
That's funny because we just talked about Denny Duquette from Grey's Anatomy in
Really?
class today.
Mhm.
Yes, the LVAD.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yes. Any other questions? Well, I invite you all out to come and take a tour sometime if you have not been there.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Would you like to acknowledge that report before we move on to the next one?
We would absolutely.
Okay.
Can I please get a motion to acknowledge the update report on invasive cardiology?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Thank you.
Alrighty. We heard Jenna talk about the importance of marketing, and so it's a great segue to invite up Jen Lambley, who's our Director of Marketing and Communication, for a marketing update.
Hi, I'm President Kelly and members of the board. I'm Jen Lambley. Like Corey said, I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at Southeast Tech. And I'm just going to share with you today a little bit about this year's enrollment campaign and some of the other things that we're doing in our department to tell the Southeast Tech story. First, a little refresher on our department. Last time I was here, I was with Carmen Landhaus, who's the other half of the marketing department. She's our graphic designer. So everything that we produce in-house, all of our printed materials, our view book, our lookbook, our program sheets, our direct mail pieces. She is the graphic genius behind that, keeping everything polished and on brand for us. And then also this year we have a student worker. Her name's Anna, and she actually is a graduate of Southeast Tech's media design program. She graduated last May, and now she's back taking business courses. So we are happy to have her as well. All right, well, your career is in your hands. So this is the premise for this year's enrollment campaign. The campaign is very student-focused. We're zeroing in on kind of that hands-on education that you get at Southeast Tech. And it's based on the concept that students want to learn in a way that makes them feel that their time and their energy and their efforts are going to contribute to their future. A couple details on the campaign. Like I said, we're stressing hands-on learning. And as in our past enrollment campaigns, we're using a mix of channels. So from broadcast TV, digital display, social ads, native article placement, paid search, billboards. We're really trying to get that mix of broad reach and targeted reach. And the campaign is going to also draw awareness to Southeast Tech and encourage engagement with our brand. One of the ways that we're going to be doing that is with user-generated content. So we have content being created by real Southeast Tech students. So it can be maybe a day in the life video that you might see on TikTok. We actually just saw one of our first drafts for the invasive program yesterday, I think it was. So we'll be pushing that out, and so maybe next time I'm here I'll have more to share on that, but just really zeroing in on that student voice and authentic storytelling. And then the campaign will also feature a lot of our lab spaces and Southeast Tech facilities. And that just kind of goes in hand with that student content as well. So this summer, we had a camera crew on campus, and we shot some really great still and video footage of various lab spaces on our campus. And that all went into a new commercial that I will play for you. And that will just really give you kind of a good feel of what the campaign is about.
At Southeast Technical College, you won't just study for a career, you'll live it. Training in classrooms that look, feel, and operate. At Southeast Technical College, you won't just study for a career, you'll live it. Training in classrooms that look, feel, and operate just like the real world. So you can graduate with the skills and the confidence to jump right in. Because the best way to do what you learn is to learn by doing. Your future is in your hands, and this is your education. Your classroom, your Southeast Tech. Get your degree. Get to work at Southeast Technical College.
Already using ChatGPT? Well,
There we go. So then up here we have just a few more examples of some of the creative that's running through this campaign. And again, we're seeing this imaging and this messaging repeated across that different mix of channels that I talked about before for that broad and targeted reach. And then I was going to just talk about a few other ways that we are doing storytelling this year. Merit is what we'll start with. So Merit is a student recognition platform that we've been using in our department for about a year and a half now. And what it does, it sends out a customized news story about a student achievement to students, their parents, legislators from their hometown media, and their former high schools, if we choose to send them there. And we've sent stories in the past on things like graduation or a spot on the president's list or taking part in service to community days or even like earning a Build Dakota scholarship. Up here on the screen, I have an example of one that we sent out earlier this year. And this one was about recognizing the new leadership of our student engagement board. And so then, as you can see, it has her first and her last name in it. And if we were to zoom in on the text, it would show also her academic program and I believe it says an associate degree that she's going to be earning at Southeast Tech. And then recipients of the stories can share this individualized stories on their own platforms and on their own social media. So it's a really good way for us to kind of capitalize and leverage, you know, the also reach of our own networks, but then of our networks. So Merit's been a really good tool for that. We've seen some really good open rates and feedback and use out of that. Student spotlights, feature stories. We just continue to keep writing and producing these, featuring real students and their unique journeys at Southeast Tech. And then our hope with these is when students read them or potential students read them, they'll be able to picture themselves at Southeast Tech. They'll see that people just like them are finding success and opportunity at Southeast Tech. And then, of course, we always try to utilize these things that we're creating as often as possible. So we may write a story and make it a news item on our website, but then we also may tease it on the homepage and push it out on social media, or maybe place it as a sponsored content piece with a publication. And that's the same tactic that we apply to most, if not all, of the content pieces that we're producing. It could also be an alumni spotlight or a feature story about new lab spaces or equipment or a Q&A with a faculty member. We apply that tactic to all the things that we produce. All right, and then the website. It wouldn't be an update on marketing if we didn't talk about the website. It's our always evolving, never complete project. I think most of you probably know that it launched in its current form back in 2020, and each year we make some kind of optimization or improvement to it. This year we are really focusing on our key landing pages, just giving them a fresh look, new layout in some cases. And then also we are reorganizing our program pages. So every academic program at Southeast Tech has its own page or set of pages. And the content is king. Content has always been super important, but what this refresh is doing is making it more navigable and easier to find, more user-friendly. So on the program page reorganizations, we've added some additional student testimonials, and there's an example up here on the screen. In some places, we're adding full-width graphics to just kind of keep in line with website trends. We've been reviewing the copy and search engine optimization information on those pages, and then adding a more user-friendly navigation. And there's an example of that in that blue box. So that blue box would be what you would see on the right side of a program page. And it really just lets you find what you're looking for. Cost is up there, curriculum, your technology requirements, that sort of thing. And then I just wanted to end with a site report card. This report is called the Insights Report, and it's a report that we can run through our content management system. And it just gives us a good overview of the overall health of the website. So as you can see, we're doing pretty good. The overall site score is a 98, which is great. And then I'm going to actually start on the right and go back. Spelling's at a 92, which is a little bit lower than the other scores, but I did want to note that some of that is because of maybe filler text that's on a testing page, or maybe somebody's name or an acronym like CNA or COARC or something that might not necessarily be in like the website dictionary. Links are at a 99 right now, which is great. Those ones probably fluctuate the most out of these 4 subscores. And that's mostly because we are linking to externally sometimes. And if something on a third-party site changes, then the link's broken. But this tool is great because it tells us exactly where to fix it and what's broken. And then accessibility, making sure that if people need a screen reader or to navigate the site on a keyboard, they're able to do that. And then search engine optimizations to make sure that we are showing up in search, we're at 100 at. So, which is rounded up, it's probably actually 99.6 or 7, something like that. There's a couple things on the list yet that we can still tweak, but overall, it's looking pretty good online. So, and that is what I have for you guys. Is there any questions I can answer?
I have a question.
Okay, first I'm going to get us to, yeah, I had a little coughing episode and we moved too quickly on last. So stand by for questions. We're first just going to get this motion out there and then open it up for discussion.
Sure.
Can I get a motion to acknowledge the marketing update report? So moved. Go ahead. Do you have questions?
Yeah, I did. So
Observations?
do you do things commercially through your, if you had somebody that wanted something printed or some handout or a name tag or?
Yep, our department does all that too. So all the business cards, name tags, we manage the email signature that's available for all employees on campus. That's all handled through our office as well.
So I could bring you 2,000 names, out 2,000 ID cards, and I could pay you for that? I mean, is that possible?
Well, I mean, we typically don't do I don't know. We'd have to ask Corey about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Normally, we don't do
Wait.
external.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you did, I'd give you some business, but.
Dawn, right?
What social media platform is getting the most reach and insights right now?
Instagram's always really good with most of our students.
Yeah.
There's a couple like we're on TikTok for advertising, but we don't post on there organically. And Facebook's always skewing a little bit older.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is LinkedIn in the mix at all, or is that still not?
LinkedIn is. We take a little bit of a different approach with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to kind of rewrite the social posts and then write the LinkedIn posts. So like, for example, if we're promoting a career fair, on Instagram, we're going to say, hey, students, come down to the hub. If you're a auto tech program, there's going to be employers there. But on LinkedIn, we try to say employers, come meet our students. That kind of subtle nuance to it, just to
still
appeal more to
Instagram
industry
is-
rather than.
Instagram's the go-to still. It's still the cool thing.
Yeah, today.
Today. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Could you?
So today's Wednesday, and before I go to sleep tonight, I will spend at least an hour with my weekly newspaper that I get still from my hometown, which is now a county newspaper. That's okay. So I read all kinds of things in there, from things about the pipeline to things about birthday parties and what college kids are home. Do you send out to those small town papers as well the stories of the success of your students, because they're always looking for copy and they will print it?
Yeah, they do print it too. It's optimized by zip code. So every semester we import our list of current students with, several fields: name, first name, last name, program, hometown, zip code, that kind of thing. And then it will automatically match to their hometown newspaper based on their zip code. So they'll get so then if you're Del Rapids, for an example, you'll get a customized press release with, hey, these students from your area were named to the president's list, and it'll bullet them out, and then they don't have to sort through, other hundreds of names on the list as well.
Could I just see the slide again? I didn't get to read all of them, but it was so intriguing how you went about, this is my classroom, this is my textbook, yeah, this is my homework, this is my desk. That was,
So these are just kind of generic images, but they would take the same concept and apply it to a billboard or a digital ad or you name it.
well, it really embraces the spirit of most of the students that you're attracting.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
That ad was very good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Resonates with students. Yeah.
Okay, any other? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That is acknowledged. Right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next I would like to invite up Stephen Williamson to talk about a gift to the college.
President Kelly, Council, I'm Steve Williamson, Associate Vice President for External Relations in the Foundation, here to talk to you about a recent gift to the college and the opportunity to name a facility after that donor. Wells Fargo is a multinational financial services company that is chartered in Sioux Falls. It's considered one of the 4 or 5 largest banks in the United States. Wells Fargo's footprint in American banking can be traced back to 1852. Wells Fargo has been a steady donor to the Southeast Technical College Foundation since 2002, supporting the annual fund, student scholarships, the emergency retention fund, Jumpstart, financial literacy seminars within our new student orientation. In October, Wells Fargo provided a gift of $2 million to Southeast Technical College through the foundation to build a home building laboratory. Request for approval. Based on this gift, we will be building a new new home building laboratory where the students will build a home on an annual basis that will then be provided to the public. This will be a first-time home buyer type of home. This facility will be located on the Southeast Technical College campus, and I am asking for your approval to name that facility that we hope to build break ground on in the spring, the Wells Fargo Home Building Laboratory.
Stand by for questions.
Sure.
One moment, please. Can I get a motion to approve the new home building laboratory at Southeast Technical College in honor of Wells Fargo?
So moved.
Questions, discussion?
Great.
If I could add one thing to that as well, when we talk about a home building laboratory, just for reference, when you think about CTE Academy, they have that facility there where they can actually build 2 homes inside there. It would be extremely similar to that. As a matter of fact, we'll be able to hopefully start with the blueprint that was used for that building and construct something similar as a starting point. So if you can imagine what that facility is like at CTE Academy, it would essentially be something duplicating it very similar to that on campus as well.
Yeah, that allows your students to work year-round.
Yeah, yeah. The cost of the home building laboratory is covered by the 2 million?
Pretty much. Well, at least that's what we think at this time. We'll be
Okay.
sending that out for RFP here pretty soon.
Yeah, depending upon what we use for the outside, the wall construction, it will vary. Like if we were to do more of a metal building, estimates that we've had are in the low to mid ones, like 1.5-ish million for the structure. If we were to go with more of a prefab wall, like what is that, CT Academy, would increase the price, but we'll do bids for both to see what we might be able to get for the cost. So in theory, it could cover the entire cost.
Well,
So where are you placing this building on campus?
Do you want me to take that? It'll be on the southeast side of campus. So if you are entering campus from the south, coming up Career Avenue past CTE Academy, it would be the very first thing on your right. If you can kind of picture campus, there's a fenced-in area. It has a blue wrap on it right now. It would be right there where that is. Yep.
Well, this is a significant donation, so good job. I don't know if we said thank you, but good job.
Yeah, we did. It was a team effort. You know, they've been a good donor to the college, and the college has done a very nice job, especially with the financial literacy seminar that we've run the last few years. The work that Megan's team has done in providing some feedback in regards to the success of that. They were impressed by that. And so when I had this conversation with them to talk to them about something less significant than this came up in conversation. And then, of course, I went to the president's office quite quickly to have this conversation.
Run, don't walk.
This was a facility that was kind of on the wish list at some point for much further down the road. And then it kind of fell into our lap. So.
Very good. Okay, any other? Yeah.
No, this is going beyond the naming request, but when you have that facility and you think about what happens at CTE and how that we can build, you know, a program. Okay, you've got your groundwork from CTE, now go to Southeast Tech and continue your knowledge in the construction industry. I think that's just awesome. I would be able to build a program there.
And I appreciate that, and I want to publicly acknowledge that Josh Hall and team down at CT Academy have been great partners, and I know we visited there multiple times, just even talking about this facility and the sharing of knowledge and what are the things we need to think about and how can we continue to build that pipeline. So we're looking forward to continuing to increase our engagement with them through this.
Awesome, that's great. We've got a good partnership. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other questions, thank you, Steve. You did a great job. We will now vote to approve the Wells Fargo Home Building Lab, the naming and the lab. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes.
All right, thank you very much for that. And our last report is our monthly budget update with VP of Finance, which is Christine Goldsmith.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, that mic really works. I'm going to step back just a step here for the echo. Yes, good afternoon. Here we are in fiscal year 26. So this is exciting, kind of getting the plane off the runway here. So fiscal year 26 got started July. These numbers here are representing July and August. So 16% of your fiscal year based on the completion of those rainbow reports out of the business office. So a couple months, and this is the lowest time of month. So if you're kind of starting to get used to that business cycle of colleges, it kind of starts off a little bit with a whisper, and then we're going to start zooming up here as you see more time go by here. So at this point, at the end of August, college had seen 1.2 million in revenue. Again, not much when we're looking at that $40 million size. So very quiet there, July and August, with $6 million going out on total expenses or total monies going out. So you see that negative 4.8. That's why it's always good to have a little bit of savings, a little bit of fund balance, kind of take you through this quiet time at the beginning of each year. It's going to happen at the beginning of each year, and that's kind of the nature of colleges. Something different that's in this year that we had looked at when we put this budget together is that, you call that facility fee. So that's something different that you're going to see in these slides, and then as we go throughout the year, that was at $36 a credit that students pay. We hadn't included it in your past information for tuition and fees. It really does kind of add up to a lot as a full-time student, and I wanted to capture that so you could get a more complete picture of the tuition and fees. So every dollar of that came in is reflected in tuition and fees, and then you'll see a new category on the expense side on these year-to-date outflows called facility fee. So even at this early point, you have a little bit of summer in here, some early pays that were coming in, so a very small amount of revenue that your facility fee actually represented about 4% of those expenses. So instructional services is at 48%. Again, we'll see that grow over time, but your percentage is going to be very consistent with that. Usually about 50-51% is as we get closer towards the end of the year where we'll look for it, but a few months is just a snapshot of things to begin with. There we go. So budget comparison. This year's budget is at 40 million, almost, I think 40 million and 19,000. So we're going to round that off to 40 million. Looking at the percentages, again, it's so early in the year, it's kind of hard to draw any real conclusions from there. There was a little burst of federal money that came through reimbursing us from quite a bit of equipment that was picked up there in June. It looks like it got pushed into July there on the business office. So a little burst there that occurred. But again, this is such at the beginning of the year, you really have quite a bit more time before we start drawing conclusions. So about 3% overall of your revenue totals and at about 15% of your overall expenses. If we're at 16% of the year has elapsed at this point, that's why 15% expenses feels about right. At this college, your biggest expense is going to be your people, your payroll, and your benefits. So you have a lot of equipment that comes down in here, but again, I'm kind of watching your percentage of your years elapsed, and then how does that overall percentage look like? So I'm feeling pretty good when I see that one too, at that 50%. This is even tinier font. I'm sure it's really hard for anybody to see at home. So where these categories on this first slide are the functional categories, instructional services, categorized things there, support services, facility fee is on here. Here's that $262,000, that $36 a credit that had come in from some of the early pays. This is putting those in natural categories, the things you're more familiar with, payroll and benefits, equipment, supplies, advertising, all that great advertising that we do. So again, I'll look through these. It's the same amounts, same numbers. I'm just looking at totals again, trying to see if any percentages catch my eye. At the beginning of a fiscal year, we do renewals on some of our software, so there's some timing things. So even though you see a few higher percentages, not so unusual because that's a little bit how a college goes on those. Again, I'm keeping an eye on that payroll and benefits piece that really drives a lot of your expenses. And that felt like a pretty comfortable place to be. Insurance, that's your liability insurance. That comes in not on a monthly basis. That comes in, I think it's quarters is how it comes in. So again, not unusual to see that percentage pop a little bit higher. So at the end of August, you had a combined fund balance of 6.21 on your college accounts on here. You notice there was a little bit of a difference here between the prior year. That caught my attention too, and I thought, oh, how interesting is that? It seemed to be an unusual amount of money that had been reimbursed to the college at a later time, lagging from some of those earlier buildings and equipments and some of that earlier expansion took a little bit longer than I would have thought, and it really popped at August at a prior year. So I think if it had been probably timed a little bit more to be in even the year before, that 5.6 and that 7.3 probably would have come together to look a little bit closer to where you're at that 6. That feels like about where we're going to be watching for patterns on your fund balance with this size. As the college grows and it starts to need more working capital going on, that's when I look for patterns of change. Again, this is all part of, are we living within our means? Are we able to fund this? And again, this is your low point in the year. It's going to start to grow from here. That is the highlights. I had something else I wanted to add about some other things I was going to look at adding, unless you had some questions about the operations to this.
Well, first, is this the completion of your report?
So this is the operational part. I know going ahead, we were interested in adding some aspects of linking the strategic plan or the strategic goal items. So that is the goal conversations are getting started. The budget activity, I want to get that started here so that I'm collecting information in November, get a chance to pull it together in December, so that in January, the president will have some pretty high-level initial what is next year starting to look like, and we can fine-tune. But what I'm going to anticipate doing as we start to collect that is changing these slides somewhat. So you can see the operations, but then you'll also see those strategic plan items that are budgeted for, and then those actuals. I might do a little color slicing. I might do maybe even a different slide. I really have to see how those ideas come together, but look for that as a future improvement here, so then you can get a chance to really see both of those, the whole picture, but then also giving you a chance to look at operations and then also the strategic piece. So more to come on that. And that would be the end of my report.
Stand by for questions.
Okay.
One moment. Can I please get a motion to approve the finance report?
Second.
Questions, observations? I have a quick question.
Yes.
So we have finished, we're the end of Q1.
Yes.
Correct, okay. So 16% completion. So really your numbers are coming from July, August, September?
Nope. The Rainbow Report has a bit of a lag to it. So
Okay.
when that is issued from the district's business office, that indicates to me he's closed the month. So
Okay.
he's closed the month of July and August. So even though the report stated October, it's really reflecting 2 months or 16% of the year. And even though we're in November right now. So
Exactly.
a little bit of a lag.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
And then the other piece, could you go back to a couple slides?
Sure.
It was your financial statement. I believe it was, oh, there we
Little
go.
one. There we go.
So the 40, oh yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that 43% request was equipment.
Mhm.
Was there one particular piece that it was just a bunch of different equipment?
So this was a lot of equipment that was coming through the system. Really, a lot of it was related to last year, but by the time it started hitting the district's books, it got caught here in July. So it's that big state one-time equipment, I think a couple of Perkins things. So those items that I probably would have expected to see in last year, they popped in July. So here they are in this year. So here we go. But it's still capturing the total here, and getting reimbursed for those will come pretty quick on your state side. Yeah,
Good, thank you.
you bet.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That update is approved. Thanks, Christine.
All right, and the next item is the second reading of policies that were introduced last month. I'd like to invite up Jim. And as we start this, I'll say we did not receive any public comment on any
None that
of
I'm
these
aware of.
policies from last month.
Good evening, President Kelly and Board.
Good evening.
Today I'm here to talk about the second reading of various policies. We have 6 of them. I'll be happy to go through each separately, or if you want to do this as a package deal, and we're looking for approval of the policies.
Since it is our second reading, I'll open it up before I put it on the table if there's anything that you all want Jim to explain again, or if Gail has anything to add to the second reading.
I would just say, since there hasn't been any public input, I think these are well vetted and we're ready to go.
Stand by just in case there are questions. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the second reading of the Sioux Falls School District Southeast Technical College Policies and Regulations.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is
Thank you very
passed.
much.
Thank you very much, Jim. Okay, we are now going to move into executive session. And we will take a short recess. We will plan to reconvene in just 5 minutes. Should we say at 5 o'clock or 5:02? There you go. That gives you 5 minutes. 5:02.
Motion to recess until 5:02 where we meet in executive session.
Second that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
There we go.